this video, my video, is going to make you very angry. We'll get right into it by watching this. The following clip is not suitable for children. Please feel free to skip to the next chapter.
I will let a doctor who has successfully transplanted a uterine complex before cut the organs out of a willing, healthy, transmasculine donor, place them in my body. I will devote myself, heart and soul, to their aftercare. I will have as much gay sex as it takes with as many trans women as it takes, and let the transphobes and homophobes scratch their heads wondering what to make of it. And I want to be the first trans woman to have an abortion.
That's pretty messed up. It's outrageous. If you're pro-life, it's obvious why this angers you. That's exactly what it was meant to do. If you're part of the LGBTQ plus community, this should anger you too. This video makes your side look like the extreme, narcissistic, completely disconnected people the other side believes you to be. So, now that we're all angry, let's talk about Jesus. It is true that Jesus walked with sinners. Some people say it was because Jesus was trying to teach us to accept all people and not to judge. Some people say it was to change the hearts of sinners and encourage them not to sin anymore. So, which is it? The answer is C, both. Did I just anger everyone even more? Let's look at the first option I gave. Jesus was trying to teach us to accept all and not to judge. This is a true statement. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, "Judge not, that you be not judged." And he goes on to talk about removing the log from your own eye before the speck in another's. Does that mean that we can't call out sin when we see it? Does that mean we should not call others to repent or defend the people who are sinned against, like the unborn? No, because even John the Baptist gave up his life, risked his life, and lost it, speaking out against a sin and calling Herod to repent. It means that we should not judge the people, and we should focus our attention on fixing our own issues. The second option I listed said this: Jesus walked with sinners to change their hearts and encourage them to discontinue their sin. This, too, is a true statement. In the Gospel of John, Jesus tells a woman caught in adultery, "Go and do not sin again." In Matthew, when the Pharisees are grumbling about how he hangs out with sinners, he tells them, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick." He calls himself a physician. That means these sinners are sick and they need healing. But he also challenges the Pharisees to learn what a quote from Hosea means: "I desire mercy and not sacrifice." The combination of these two options mean that we are called to remember that we are sinners and we need healing and mercy. However, to receive that mercy, we must be merciful ourselves. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespassed against us. That's a strong statement and a prayer that many of us pray on a regular basis. In my opinion, it's okay to be angry about sin. Jesus proves this when he goes into the temple and uses a whip to clear out the vendors. But just recently, I've seen someone celebrate a natural disaster that tore through states that had different political opinions than she did. I've heard people wish that political figures would die. I've heard a priest call a political figure a word I won't repeat on this channel. I'm pretty sure Jesus would have done none of that. He tells us to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. This means the people in these parties, especially the ones in the party you are not in, love them. Pray for them. St. Thomas Aquinas said, "To love is to will the good of the other." That means if you're a Republican, Jesus is calling you to will the good of Democrats. If you're a Democrat, Jesus is calling you to will the good of Republicans. This means we should be praying for and willing the good of this content creator. Now, that doesn't mean shutting up and tolerating sin, because one way we will the good of those we disagree with is by voting and speaking out against wrongdoing, but doing so in a loving, generous, and merciful manner. You're far more likely to change hearts that way anyway. I get it. This is a difficult message to hear. It was difficult to say. But I think deep down, we all know it to be true. Hopefully, after all of this, you don't consider me an enemy. If you do, I guess that means you're called to pray for me. You're also called to be a sheep, which totally sounds like an insult. Watch this video to find out why it's not so bad to be called a sheep. Thanks for watching. And you know what? Pray for someone today that you really don't like.